guys, welcome to this new video. Today we're going to talk about Kubernetes deployment strategy. What is Kubernetes deployment strategy? It's just the way how we upgrade application in Kubernetes without downtime, right? Upgrading an application in Kubernetes without downtime. So which strategy can we apply to upgrade Kubernetes upgrade Kubernetes application without a user facing any downtime? For example. Now, there are three major Kubernetes deployment strategy. We will talk about each of them. So the first one is called rolling update. So in this fashion, for example, when you're using a Kubernetes strategy, and this is how we call it here on this YAML file, if you want to use like rolling update, Kubernetes will replace pod one after another until the last pod, right? So rolling update, this is a default strategy where deployment update pod are in rolling fashion. It slowly replace old pod with new one, which ensure that there is no downtime. It update pod one by one, right? It replaces one pod after another, waiting for a new pod to become ready before moving on updating a new pod. So Kubernetes will basically replace one pod first. When that pod is running, it will replace the next pod until the end. If you have 20 pod, it will do that one by one. This will guarantee that you don't have a downtime, right? Let's say, for example, your application is running with like 4 replica set, you're using rolling update. Kubernetes will actually kill one pod and replace that with a new pod. When that new pod is running, Kubernetes will kill the second pod and replace that with the new pod. When that new pod is running, Kubernetes will kill the third pod. As you can see here, at any given point of time, your application is always up, right? Your application will be up and running at any given point of time. So this is just like replacing pod one by one, and that strategy is called the rolling update, right? We call that strategy rolling update. So another one that we have out there is called canary, the canary deployment, for example, is a bit different from rolling update, but too far. So canary deployment, in this strategy, you introduce a new version of the application to the small subset of user before rolling it out to the entire base user. If the canary new version is performing well, it is gradually roll out to the rest of the user. What does it mean? Like the difference between, like, instead of like going one by one, like it's done in rolling update, canary will use a subset. Let's say you have, for example, 6 pod, right? You have 6 pod that you want to upgrade. Kubernetes, if you use canary, for example, Kubernetes, instead of taking one by one, Kubernetes might take 2 pod down and replace by 2 new pod. When those 2 new pod are running, Kubernetes will take again 2 old pod down and replace that by 2 new pod. And when that's running, it will take again 2 old pod down and running. So the difference is that with rolling update, Kubernetes will do it one by one. But when it comes to canary, Kubernetes will use a subset, for example, right? Depending on how many pod you have. If you have like 100 pod, Kubernetes might be taking a subset of like 10 or 15 or 20. So that's just the only difference, as you can see here in the picture. So it is 2 pod at a time. So Kubernetes will replace the subset at a time. So the rolling update is used like it's one by one. Canary is a subset. Another one that is also widely used out there is called blue-green deployment. And this is a strategy involved deploying a new version of your application alongside the old version. Blue-green is the active deployment, green is the new phase. And once the new version is ready and tested, the traffic is switched from the blue environment to the green environment, usually by updating the services endpoint load balancer configuration. So basically, this is done a lot. Like, for example, what happened is that instead of using rolling update, like taking one pod up, one pod down, or using canary, which is taking a subset of pod, which is instead of replacing one pod one by one, like in a rolling update, or replacing pod by subset, like in canary, in the blue-green, we are going to bring the same number of pod, meaning that if my application is having 4 pod, I will bring 4 pod. If my application is having 4 pod, I will bring 4 more pod and just switch the DNS, right? I will bring 4 more pod and just switch the DNS. So a lot of people do this. We call it blue-green, for example, blue-green deployment. So you can replay, like you bring, so let's say you have 4 pod running image nginx 10.0, you can bring 4 more pod using nginx 10.1. Then when the 4 pod using nginx 10.1 are ready, now you can retire the 4 pod using nginx 10. Whatever, and then you just have to switch the but at that time you need to switch the DNS, right? You switch the DNS so that the customer will not fill out. So it's just like switching DNS from one service to another. So that's called blue green deployment, right? The blue is a old is a old application, and the green is a new application that you are bringing. I hope you like this video. See you guys in the next video. Thank you.